Welcome to this cab ride from East Croydon to Farringdon station in central London and returning to West Croydon. These journeys were filmed in April 1991 and the first in Woodleg is seen from the cab of a Class 319 dual voltage EMU operating the Thameslink service between Brighton and Bedford, introduced in 1988. We shall run straight up the former London, Brighton and South Coast Main Line and are booked non-stop from East Croydon to London Bridge, a distance of exactly 10 miles. Windmill Bridge Junction, where the LBSC lines fork left for Clapham Junction, Victoria and various South London routes. This network of flying junctions brings the Epsom line trailing in from the left, while the Streatham routes diverge also to the left. On the left now can be seen Selhurst Electric Traction and Rolling Stock Depot. The LBSC began electrifying its inner suburban services as early as 1909, but on an AC overhead system. These were converted to Third Rail DC after the grouping, to match the southeastern and southwestern systems on either side. Electric trains finally reached Brighton in 1933. This is Norwood Junction Station. Norwood Junction itself. Branches to right and left both lead up to the Victoria, Crystal Palace, Beckenham line, which crosses our route on a girder bridge now coming into view ahead. Annerley Station. Notice the broad sweep of the curve and the fine engineering of this main line. Penge West. This bridge carries the down track of the Sydenham Crystal Palace east to west chord that forms one of the area's London to London loops. Used at peak hours only when this journey was filmed, it now carries a half-hour interval service, while the permanent way has been upgraded. The other track of the chord now trails in from the left, joining our line at Sydenham Junction. Beneath us at this point runs Penge Tunnel, over a mile long, carrying the Chatham main lines into Kent. Sydenham Station. Forest Hill. After running level or nearly level for much of our journey, the line now descends towards London at a steady 1 in 100 for the next 2.5 miles. Honor Oak Park. The second of these two bridges carries the southeastern lines between Nunhead and Shortlands Junction, known as the Catford Loop. Brockley. At the far platform ends, the girder bridge carries the southeastern line between Nunhead and Lewisham. A brand new Thameslink unit then passes in the opposite direction. We're now approaching New Cross Gate. On the extreme right are the tracks of the Underground's East London line, originally worked by the London, Brighton and South Coast Railway with through steam trains into the East End. Electrified in 1913, it became Underground property in 1948, though the tracks from the station are still Railtrack's responsibility as far as Canal Junction, where the short leg diverges to New Cross. On the left now is New Cross Gate Carriage Servicing Depot. On the far right are the arches of the London and Greenwich Railway, London's first railway, opened in 1836 and later part of the South Eastern. It's still, of course, one of the principal routes into Kent. On our own line is Bricklayers Arms Junction, where tracks once diverged to the famous terminal on the Old Kent Road. The LBSC tracks now veer left towards London Bridge on a separate alignment, known as the South Bermondsey Spur, while we are joining the South Eastern's multi-track formation. The South Bermondsey Spur comes alongside once again. At Spa Road Junction, where there was a station in Victorian times, crossovers allow traffic to gain the through roads on the north side of the terminal platforms at London Bridge. The approach to London Bridge, as with most London termini, was hugely expensive to build, owing among other things to the number of properties to be bought and demolished. This line crosses the back streets of Bermondsey on a massive viaduct, and the arches were let from the outset as business premises, so defraying the costs of construction. London Bridge is the oldest London terminus, opened in 1836, and is now the busiest. Originally having just 2 platforms, it has been enlarged many times, and today has 16. Always a workaday station, it lacks the style of many other termini, and the railway hotel here, destroyed in the Blitz, had been converted to offices as far back as 1893. We enter the station on the high-level through lines, with the main terminus on the left. The tracks ahead lead to stations across the Thames, Cannon Street, Blackfriars and Charing Cross. All those stations are much more convenient for central London than is London Bridge, but they're all much smaller, reflecting the cost of land and planning constraints north of the river. Litter on station tracks is a problem that has grown much worse in this age of takeaway food. As we leave the west end of London Bridge, Southwark Cathedral can be seen on the right. The maze of busy thoroughfares here caused the railways to be built on a continuous series of bridges at very high cost. Below us now is Borough High Street. Borough Market Junction, for a long time one of the worst railway bottlenecks in the whole country. To the right lies Cannon Street. Approaching Metropolitan Junction. Straight ahead lie Waterloo East and Charing Cross, while we will swing over to the right for Blackfriars. The line trailing in from Cannon Street on the right is now single and used only for empty stock movements. But until the First World War, most trains to and from Charing Cross called at Cannon Street and then reversed out this way. There was even a 5-minute interval shuttle service between the 2 termini. All this, of course, was with semaphore signalling and steam trains, and with light engine movements to add in, it was no surprise that the South Eastern and Chatham Railway, whose territory this was, earned a black reputation for chaos and delays every rush hour. We're now on what is known as the Union Street Spur and coming up to Blackfriars Junction, where we join the London, Chatham and Dover's City Line, coming in from Point South. This now is the run-up to Blackfriars Bridge. These approaches were completely rebuilt in the 1970s, and the holding sidings on the right, plus the office blocks behind, stand on the site of the original Blackfriars station, which later became a goods depot.